So in last video, we saw how agentic framework works and how everything is, put in place and what are the important aspects of our agentic framework like memory, tool. Then we have hooks, callbacks, and then the agent and the multi-level agent and all those details. This is just a continuation video of doing the same, almost the same thing, but with a different framework, just to give you an understanding of how we can achieve all that in, using Strands agent in AWS Bedrock AgentCore Runtime. So the steps are very similar. Most of the things would be similar, just that the overall setup is a little different. And unlike Google Gemini model, here you have to use one of the Bedrock agents, and you must have the access to AWS account to get access to these agents, and then accordingly move ahead. So I'll quickly show you how this can be set up. So these are the libraries. Again, in my blog, I have all the details about like what are the commands that you need to run to get these libraries like Bedrock Agent Core, and we also need Bedrock models and all. So this is just an entry point, and this is a very simple example, the way we had in the previous video. In case if you haven't watched the previous video, I'll highly recommend watching that because that has all the context of what agents we are building and what are the details and everything. And instead of synchronous response that we had in the last video, here we will be seeing how we can stream asynchronously. Again, Google ADK also supports that, just that because everything would be a little similar. So just to give you a broader perspective, here we will be going with asynchronous streaming. If we don't want, we could just do something like this. So we can say response equal to, and then let me remove this, jokes agent of user message, and this will give me, and if I want, I can convert it to str so that it's retrievable, and then I can return this as well. So this is one way, but again, in this I will see how we can do this asynchronously. And so yeah, this is the setup, and to deploy it, it's very simple. Once you have the AWS account, you can just you make sure that you are using that profile account, and then a simple command to deploy is run agent core launch. This will launch your agent core, and then you can also check it in the AWS console. But for the demo purposes, because in initial stage you may not want that, so we'll see how we can run it locally. So this is the entry point, and we are invoking, invoke, we are just defining a method invoke which will take the event and accordingly process everything. And then I'm running this application.run. This is very useful for testing in local. Once you're satisfied, then you can of course move it to the agent core using the command that I showed you. And if you see that I am using the safety agent, let's actually start with the news agent. So let me just switch it back to news underscore agent and import news agent. And let me show you how does this look. So if I go to news agent, this is my news agent. So it's a very simple agent. Since in AWS we don't have a Google search tool which is natively supported, so I'm just telling that you can provide the information, relevant information as supposed to be. We can use browser tools and all to have those tools, but to keep things simple, I just use it like this. So if let's say tomorrow we had those tools, we could always add like let's say we could have a def get news tool or get latest news, and then it returns a string, and then just breaking news, something like that. Yeah, I think this looks fine. And then we can also in order to make sure that agent understands it correctly, we need to define a tool schema. So I need to annotate it with tool, so strands, and then strands.agent import tool, and then I will just use this decorator add tool description equal to get latest news and headline. I think that looks good. And I think this is a Python stub issue, Pylance issue, so I'll just quickly add a quick fix of ignore so that we don't get that. And again here as well. Okay, so this could be just a simple tool to have. We can supply this tool later. Like I just wanted to show you how tools will work. But for now, just let's keep it empty just to see how the agent responds, because now it has no tool. And remember that it's just a LLM model. It does not have any access to any tool which could give it the latest information and all those details. So we will see how it behaves. So I'll go here. I'll just go and kill this UV run, and I think it's AWS Strands Agent / run agent underscore py. So I hope it's not running. Okay, let me kill this. I think it should be from Strands import tool. And let me see if I ignore this. Okay, I still get a Pylance issue, so let me just add the Pylance ignore command. And then let me get rid of this. I don't think we would have any issues now. Yeah. So let me just try again. No module name AWS Strands. Oops, it should be this. Okay, so yeah, so now it's up and running. So we can just go in a Postman, and then let me, what is the latest news for today? Things like that I can ask. And if I send it, so you can see that this is actually a streaming API rather than the last one. And let me just make it a little bigger so that we can see. And this completed, and this is the final response. And if I try to inspect it, you can see I don't have access to real-time information or today's date, as my knowledge was updated in 2024. So I can just ask of or April, or let's take 1 month back, March 2024, in case if it can give me that context. So let's see. So this is the final response. up to April 24, so I can share some significant name events. Here are some notable stories from the period. Yes, percent heating up with primaries continuing, and yeah, so it's giving some details and all those things. Okay, now let's see what happens when we provide it the access with that tool. So I'll just quickly go back. Yeah, and now this time I'll just copy and supply this to. Oops. And now let me kill the terminal and just run it again. And it has started. So let me just give it a more space, some more space. What are the latest news? And what is the latest news? And let me just ask this question. So yeah, it started sending and it keeps on sending. And now if you see, and then here are the top headlines: breaking news, AI technology is transforming the world, and whatever that mock function that we added. Okay, so this is how you can add up tools, and you can also have tool description and all those things, like like input schema and all those details, etc. So that is something that we can find in the documentation also. I mean, it could go very deep based on different architecture. Like Strands use different way. In ADK we had only docstring, so that would be a little different. But just to give you a context that we can add those details about like what is input schema, its JSON and all the queries or all the attributes, it's all the attribute that's required and all those things. So for example, if I show you one of the schemas, yeah, so this is one of the schemas that I've been using in one of my agents. So input schema, JSON, its type of object, user request, its string, what's the request about framework, document type, product context, section focus, existing content tone, all these details, and what are the required parameters. So all the details, we can find in the this Strands documentation, but just wanted to give you a context of how these are defined for the best, to give the best context to the agent. So that's one. Another thing that I wanted to discuss is how, just see how the response come when it's streaming. So you can see that, these are all the chunks that are sent one by one. So it starts, event loop, message start, and all these things. So based on, again, this is also framework specific. So based on different framework, you will have these kind of blocks, and then the text delta, you have to concatenate those to give you the final details. And this is how it works. So yeah, I hope you got the idea about this one. So now let's move on to the guard railing and the hooks, which was another important aspect. Note that there are a lot of features that we can discuss, but just to keep the video short and straightforward, and most of these things we have already discussed in the ADK video, so I wouldn't go into detailing of how the agentic framework works and all. In case you have less context about those, I would highly recommend checking out that other video. But yeah, let's go to the safety agent and understand how the hooks work. In ADK, we had callbacks like after in model invocation and all those things. Similar to that, in Strands, we have hook providers, and we can define all these like message added event after invocation, after tool call event, and there are a lot of such events which we can always look into the docs again. But I'll show you how to set these up. So we have a cleanup hook where we registry and add these callbacks like message added after invocation, after tool call event, and all those details. And then validate user input. How do you want to validate? Like let's say I want to make sure that if there is any word. So this is a joke agent which will tell you a joke about any topic. But let's say I want to keep death as a sensitive topic, so I'll just add if death is in text upper. Again, this should be a very semantic based search, not just exact match. And this is something that we discussed in the previous video also. But since just to show you how these things come in place, I've just added this example. And then after tool call, if you see, these are just for the logging purpose. We don't need this as much. And then this is how like you share jokes and funny stories to lighten the mood of the user on specific topic. Share the joke with the user based on the topic, whatever they provide. And then the hook cleanup hook that we set it up here. Okay, so this is again this agent. And now let me go to I think run agent, and I just need to swap this. So this time it's safety agent, import safety agent, and then this will change back to uh, safety agent. Okay, what's wrong? I think it's called joke agent maybe. Yeah, jokes agent, and let me change it back to jokes agent. And now if I save it, and now if you see, yeah, I'll just quickly, I mean you can hot reload this also, but I just I'm used to doing it like this now because it's pretty fast anyways. Yeah, so if you see that it takes input and then the prompt, if if input text is not defined, so we can accordingly we can change prompt or input text, both will work either ways. And once I send this, it will just invoke this and it will tell me. So like for example, I'll just ask, uh, can you tell me a joke about AI, and send this. So the streaming has started and it's trying to send the joke. And let me just expand this again. And it's done. And this is the final result. Why did AI go to the school? Because it wanted to improve its learning model. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's even this one is not so good. But yeah, it's sending so many like multiple jokes. And like, let's say, can you tell me a joke about death? Let's say I ask this one. So it says agent invocation failed with error message. Death is not allowed. It's a prohibited content. So yeah, I mean that's the one thing that we have here. So yeah, I mean this is about setting it up. Like again, these are very simple examples. I know you would have much more complicated examples, but you can always break down that into simple steps and then try to implement this. And once you deploy this, you will be able to see all of this in your AWS Bedrock Agent Runtime console, where you will see all the runtime setups that are there. So that's all for this video. All these details and all the code and everything is in my blog, so in case if you want to look at it, feel free to check that out. And if you have any questions, drop down in the comments. And until then, I'll see you next time. Bye bye.